Hey everyone! So if you've ever found yourself staring at a blank whiteboard, trying to force out the next big thing for a startup, this one's for you. We're about to unpack a pretty counterintuitive idea that might just change the way you think about innovation completely. All right, let's get into it.
You know the image we all have in our heads, right? A room, buzzing with caffeine-fueled energy, whiteboards just covered in scribbles, a rainbow of sticky notes everywhere. It's that classic brainstorming session. But what if I told you that whole picture is basically wrong?
Yeah, it turns out the best startup ideas are almost never thought up on command. In fact, deliberately trying to think up a startup idea is probably one of the best ways to come up with a really bad one. So if brainstorming is out, we have to ask, why? Why does it fail so often? Before we can get to the alternative, we've got to understand the problem itself. Let's call it the brainstorming trap. This is why. Brainstorming leads you straight to what's called a sitcom startup idea. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the kind of thing that sounds amazing in a 30-second pitch, like something a character on a TV show would invent. It's clever, it sounds plausible, but it's a solution desperately looking for a problem that nobody actually has. And this right here is the critical difference. On one side, you've got the sitcom idea. It's forced, it's artificial, and it's ultimately pretty useless. But on the other side, you have an organic idea. This is something that gets discovered. It grows out of a real-world need, usually your own. And honestly, at first, it might not even sound like a good business idea at all.
Okay, so if we're kicking brainstorming to the curb, what's the replacement? Well, it's a huge mental shift. You have to go from trying to invent things to just observing. It's all about mastering the art of noticing.
This quote is everything. It's the whole idea in a nutshell. The very act of consciously sitting down to think of a startup idea is the thing that stops you from actually finding a great one. So instead of searching for ideas, you kind of become a detective of your own life. You're just on the lookout for anomalies, for things that feel a little off. What's clunky? What's missing? What's just fundamentally broken? That's where the real opportunities are hiding in plain sight. That all sounds great, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you train your brain to see all these things that everyone else seems to be ignoring? How do you build that idea antenna?
Well, it's not about waiting for some lightning bolt of inspiration. It's about setting up the right conditions inside your own head. Basically turning your mind into this fertile ground where great ideas can just show up.
And the process is surprisingly simple, really. First, you just have to learn a lot about something you actually care about. Become an expert. Second, take that knowledge and work on problems that genuinely fascinate you. And third, surround yourself with people who challenge you and who you really respect. This isn't just a recipe for finding ideas, by the way. It's how you accidentally find your future co-founders.
And this is why just following your genuine curiosity is so incredibly powerful. Think of it like your own internal compass. It guides you toward the problems that are actually worth solving, often way before anyone else even realizes their problems. So, where do these organic ideas tend to pop up in the real world? Well, the funny thing is, they often don't look like businesses when they start. Not even close.
The truly great ideas are usually outliers. If you tried to pitch them as a formal business plan on day one, investors would probably laugh you out of the room. They'd seem too weird, too small, too niche. But as a side project, something you're just doing for the love of it, they have the freedom to grow and to prove that they're not so crazy after all.
And I mean, the proof is right there. Apple, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, these are some of the biggest companies that have shaped our world. And guess what? Not a single one of them started with some grand plan to become a massive corporation. They were all just side projects, things their founders were building because they were passionate about them. Let's really dig into one of the most famous examples of this, Airbnb. Because before they were a household name, they were basically a complete and total failure. We're talking a full year with zero growth. A binder literally stuffed with maxed out credit cards, and investors walking out of their pitch meetings. So you have to ask, why on earth didn't they just quit? What kept them going through all that? It wasn't some bulletproof business plan. It was a feeling. See, they had been the very first Airbnb hosts. They had personally felt that magic of connecting with a traveler in their own home. They had seen a little glimpse of the future, and they just couldn't let it go, no matter how many people told them it was a dumb idea.
And that is the absolute key. They weren't trying to build a billion-dollar empire. They were just two guys trying to solve their own very immediate problem, making rent.
And in solving that one tiny personal problem, they accidentally uncovered a massive global need.
So what happens when you really start to adopt this way of thinking? When you focus on learning, doing, and noticing? Well, the world, it literally starts to look different to you.
When you truly master a skill, it's like you unlock a new superpower. You stop being just a passive person living in the world. You're now a problem solver with a toolkit, and you can't help but see everything through that new lens.
And all of a sudden, the world is just full of these dotted outlines everywhere you look. You start to see them around all the broken things, the inefficient things, the missing pieces that you now have the tools to fix. And every single one of those outlines isn't just a problem, it's a potential startup waiting to happen.
So if you only take one single thing away from all of this, let it be this. Stop trying to think up the next big thing for somebody else. Just focus on making something that you desperately wish someone would make for you.
So I'll leave you with that challenge. Forget the whiteboard, forget the brainstorming session. For the next week, just look around you. What's broken in your world? What's missing? What's the one thing that drives you crazy that you know how to fix? The answer just might be the start of something really, really great.